new allegations from Kanye West, he's now saying that it was his Jewish doctor that misdiagnosed him and wanted him to take a pill. Here it is.
Drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not gonna say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor that diagnosed me of having a disorder that would have had me on medication right now. At a time like this, if I was on medication right now, then one pill could have been swapped out and it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again. But because I didn't take the misdiagnosis and I didn't take the medication, I'm able to speak to you guys clear of thought and transparently.
Whoa, let me address the elephant in the room. Kanye, if you would have taken the pill, you may not be in this situation right now. That is another consideration that I submit to you. But remember, this is bigger than Kanye. Kanye is now being utilized as the front man for white supremacists in the United States of America. They are purchasing signs to say Kanye is right about Jews. Now remember, the same people who are antithetical to the movement and progression of Black lives, who are adversarial to the sentiment of Black Lives Matter, they are now telling you to listen to Kanye West because Kanye agrees with them as it relates to his anti-Semitic terms. Isn't this interesting? But once again, ladies and gentlemen, I submit something in full transparency. If Kanye West would have said he's going DEFCON 3 on all Black women, or he's going DEFCON 3 on all members of the LGBTQ community, these would be problematic statements. The reason why I say this in context is because I have seen members of the so-called woke community, individuals I would have considered allies on some level, subscribe to the ideology of Kanye West. Now remember, it was Kanye West who said slavery was a choice, besmirching the memory of our ancestors. It was Kanye West who said George Floyd killed himself, dishonoring a victim of murder by the hands of the police. It is Kanye who is going out of his way to make sure he does not offend bigoted white people. That is by design. Now, it is bigger than Kanye. Other anti-Semitic statements that have happened since. Here it is. That was at the outside of the Georgia-Florida game. There was a statement released by these universities. I will read those statements in just a moment. Another individual did this.
What is wrong with you?
No, I didn't even car.
No, yeah.
Get out of here. Get some you, man.
Get the picture? Let's put up the graphic. Okay. Overpass in Jacksonville. Let me highlight what the universities of Florida and Georgia said in their press release. A release statement on Sunday condemning the anti-Semitic language and signage that was projected onto TIAA Bank Field and surrounding areas of Jacksonville, Florida, around Saturday night's annual matchup between the Gators and Bulldogs. The quote goes, "We strongly condemn the anti-Semitic hate speech projected outside TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville after the Florida-Georgia football game Saturday night and the other anti-Semitic messages that have appeared in Jacksonville." The statement read, The University of Florida and the University of Georgia together denounced these and all acts of anti-Semitism and other forms of hatred and intolerance. Now, let's go back to something that should be commonly held by everybody. Everybody should agree, hate speech is wrong. To be adversarial to a particular demographic is not okay. But you do have the freedom of speech in America. That is correct too. But freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequence. I don't know who conflated the two. If you are employed, you cannot simply say whatever you choose to say and be employed by that same company if you say things that are adversarial to the culture, the values, etc. Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence. But all of a sudden, Kanye wants to live in a world where the rules of normative cause and effect do not apply to him. And there are those who are willing to say something similar about his status in this country. I don't give a damn that he is famous. I don't give a damn that he makes money. What I do care about is that he also cannot escape the reality of cause and effect in a societal construct. It is not possible. Now, he has apologized somewhat on the record. While giving a half-assed apology, he then decides to besmirch other communities in the process. Now remember, he recently said to the mother of George Floyd, she's being greedy. She's about to mess up more money. He said this to a mother, a black mother, who saw her own son being killed by the police on video. That's Kanye. What did King say about darkness, hate? He said darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Now, there are many who disagree with my sentiment. I'm okay with that. I stand as a man and I stand by what I've said. There are those who will say, well, Jews owned slaves. That is correct. Some of them did. Whites owned slaves, Jews owned slaves, and even a handful of black folk actually owned slaves, believe it or not. But I want you to understand the sentiment of a movement. The Nazis who are identifying with Kanye West, their entire movement was about the eradication of everything that was not white on this planet. That was never the sentiment of the movement of black folk to eliminate black folk. That was never the sentiment of the movement of Jews to eliminate black folk. Dr. King worked with Jews. Our leaders of the civil rights era marched with the Jewish coalition. Were there some adverse people in various demographics that stood against the movement of black folk in America? Of course, every single group, including black groups, stood against some of the black leaders that we celebrate today. Dr. King was only allowed in 4% of black churches during his time in America when he was living. 4%. The rest of them said no. Now there is an ecosystem of economy connected to the reason they said no. Why? Because virtually 100% of black churches were owned by who? White banks. Many black leaders stood against Dr. King. They said he was a troublemaker, radical. Does that mean now that I have to stand against black folk because some black folks stood against King? Of course not. You see, in order for morality, to be based in ethics, it must come from an authentic place of your soul, inside of here. My morality is not based on what you will or will not do, but it is based on what I believe and my values and what I hold common in my heart. This has got to stop. All right, dear brother, what are your thoughts here?
It's terrifying to watch all of this happening in this country right now. With I don't know if it's the audacity of these people to now just be this open with it, or what best way to describe it, but they're very comfortable, and that to me is what is so appalling. These aren't views that you hide from people anymore, and you just have your close bigoted friends that you talk about all these horrible things behind closed doors. They're doing it out in the open. They are empowered right now. And when you look at all the people that have made the argument like, oh, how did they let this happen in the lead up to World War II? Oh, it could never happen here. It's starting to feel like it is. It's starting to feel like these people are more empowered, that their numbers are unfortunately growing, and they're very open with it. They're unapologetic about it. They feel like now is our time to come forward with these heinous beliefs and let the world know that this is how we feel. And it's a terrifying time in this country right now. I mean, this is not something, even 2 years ago, I didn't think we would see this. But every day I'm just more and more appalled at what we're becoming as a country here. Because it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And we have to come up with solutions. And right now I'm at a loss. I guess I'm still in shock a bit because I don't know how to proceed from here other than, try to combat it the best we can. But their numbers are getting bigger and ours, it doesn't feel like are. And that's sad.
A personal note. I finished doctoral studies at Clark Atlanta University, a research college in Atlanta, Georgia, connected to the legacy of W.E.B. Du Bois, who had to work with Jewish coalitions in order to promote the legacy and the protection of Black lives in America. He did that work. Sometimes he was contrary to other Black thinkers of that era, such as Marcus Garvey. But it does not mean that somehow he hated Black folk because he had coalitions with others. Dr. King had a diverse coalition. Many leaders that have promoted the values of Black sentiment, of Black worth, Black value in the United States of America engaged in coalition building. This does not make you contrary to the idea of progress in this country. Once again, if everyone adopted the sentiment, the expression of Kanye West, would this world be a better place or worse?
I think when we look at that and when we see what Kanye is saying and using his own rationale with it as well, I had a Jewish doctor and he misdiagnosed me allegedly. That's a problem with you and your doctor. You've made it a problem with you and an entire race of people. You did that. You conflated those two things in your head. And like you said, when we started here, maybe if you had taken that doctor's advice, maybe if you were on that medication, maybe we'd be having a different conversation right now.
Yeah, and let's be clear about generalization. I don't like it when people generalize all Black folk. I don't like that. I think that's contrary to understanding the nuance of independence and uniqueness that we all have. So when people do it against other groups, I don't like it either. Why? Because I have what's called linear integrity about what I do and what I say. And remember, it was Dr. King who told us it is better to judge a person, if you judge them by the content of their character. Once again, an individual dynamic, not a generalization. All right.